everybody. We are back with episode 5 of the Beach Boys podcast. We have Josiah, Tessana, Brandon, and Nate. We got the full crew back today. How you guys doing?
Good.
Pretty
Good. So today we're just going to do kind of a free-form open discussion, and we're actually going to be talking about the brother years, which was actually a term that I wasn't familiar with until
Me either.
we had planned this episode. Here, Nate, do you want to just do a quick just explanation of what that is, the brother years?
Sure. So covers roughly 1970 to 85. Although I feel like what made it unique, some of those things were brewing probably as early as 67 and 68. But basically it was almost a time of creative freedom for the group because they were transitioning from on one hand from Capitol to Reprise for distribution, and also starting their own label, Brother Records, hence the term the brother years.
So we start with Sunflower for the first album of the brother years.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a great one to start with.
Right before all this happened, like Murray Wilson sold Sea of Tunes in 1969. He sold Sea of Tunes. So that's one of the worst starts, I don't know, to an era at least. And then on top of that, the Manson murders are in 1969, and Dennis is he wasn't involved, but he had a connection to Charles Manson, and I think there's so much guilt that comes from that. If you look at the Sunflower 1970 album cover, you look at Dennis on the cover and he just looks really sad. I don't know. Yeah.
That's a really weird album cover. I love it.
I know. I love it
everybody
too.
On there looks so funny.
I know.
What is Mike doing on that cover? There's something
He
weird
looks
with Mike.
like a cult member.
They all kind of look like cult members.
Yeah, Al with his cowboy outfit with his two sons. And
oh, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of Al, yeah.
And then there's Brian, and he has he's wearing this white outfit, and his little daughter just hey. Yeah, it's a weird album cover.
Definitely an era with a lot of highs and a lot of lows.
Yeah.
Well, I would say it started on a high.
I feel like if that Manson stuff didn't happen with Dennis, maybe his life would have gone a different way after that, because I feel like it just kind of and then obviously he drowned, which sucks because he's awesome. So
yeah. Do you you think that because reading reading about him, it kind of always seemed like he was kind of the craziest, kind of the most party, the party the most out of all of them. So do you think maybe the Manson thing happening kind of just exacerbated that and put it more
that
spiral?
him, definitely.
Yeah.
Because what year did he die?
83. Okay.
Yeah, 3. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sad story.
It is a really sad story, but Sunflower, in a way, it does bring us into a new Dennis era, because that's when he starts his songwriting, pretty much
really
on
good,
album.
yeah.
And
and then they're just no, nothing on Surf's Up, which is stupid.
Right, exactly. I think he wrote stuff on Surf's Up. He wrote stuff for Surf's Up.
Yeah, he should have made it on there because Dennis
is
awesome.
See, this is the thing.
I think Surf's Up is perfect, but Dennis should be on there. It angers me.
See, this is the thing that frustrates me. A lot of people say, oh, the rest of the boys didn't really appreciate Dennis's work, but he had 2 songs on Friends, 2 songs on 2020, 3 songs on Sunflower. He wrote 2 songs for Surf's Up that, again, he chose not to put on there. He had 2 songs on Carl and the Passions. He had...
Mike and Carl and Bruce all contributed to Dennis's solo album.
And then obviously LA, he has 3 songs on it or something. So I don't think they obviously did appreciate what he did and use it. Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels weird. I feel like he should have songs on Surf's Up, because it's every other album from this period kind of seems to have a rhythm, and then that one, or like with Who, right? who writes what songs. And that one just seems weird to me that there's no Dennis tracks on there.
Well, yeah, wouldn't it be nice to live again? Should definitely be on there.
Yeah. Get rid of Take a Load Off Your Feet. Sorry, or Student Demonstration.
I like Take a Load Off Your Feet though.
I would definitely get rid of Student Demonstration.
Yeah, Student Demonstration doesn't fit.
I know what you
mean. I
don't
have issues with it, but
it kind of sets a precedence when he starts doing songs for every album, and then there's one where it's left out. It would kind of be like the equivalent of when George Harrison started contributing more songs to the Beatles, and then all of a sudden they just had an album with no George Harrison songs. I think, I understand where you're coming from with that. I think that would be kind of a weird thing.
But we're spoiling Surf's Up. We got to stay on Sunflower. We got to stay on Sunflower.
Yeah, Sunflower.
I think the interesting thing, I was just reading the Wikipedia article for this, and the names that they were brainstorming like for this album are really weird, like Reverberation, The Fading Rock Group Revival, like I don't know.
For album covers or for album titles?
For titles, yes. It's just I'm very glad they picked Sunflower.
Reverberation sounds like an 80s Brian Wilson like solo album or something.
I know.
Another one of those unreleased.
Like what do we think of Add Some Music being the single? I think that's just not like I like that song. I just don't think it's a single material.
I know why they made it a single
choice.
Though.
Yeah.
I know why they did, because they thought it would be, acceptable, like the public would latch on to it more maybe.
I feel like you could have put Nate's gone. I feel like you could have put like I don't know, even like Forever has been a better choice. I don't know. It's About Time kind of goes more with the music of the times, kind of picking up speed or whatever. It's a bit of a harder song. I don't know. Just Add Some Music is just so relaxed, I guess, that it doesn't seem like it'd be a hit.
I'd say it's like a pretty safe song.
Exactly.
For what the Beach Boys do,
Well, I think Slip On Through or It's About Time should have been the lead single for it. Add Some Music, it makes sense because it's like other than Dennis, they all have lead vocals on it, so it kind of makes sense to do that. But it's too sappy.
Yeah.
For 1970,
It's About Time is much more of like that. It's got the the fast-paced drums and I don't know. It's just poor decision.
I do think that Slip On Through is like the perfect opening song for the album. That song just brings the album in like amazing. And all right, Nate just said his Wi-Fi went out for some reason. He's trying to fix it. So
okay. Well, I think the main question we should be asking when talking about Sunflower is, why did this album tank? Like, how did this tank? It's one of the best Beach Boys albums ever.
Yeah, it's
chock full of amazing songs.
I really do think part of it is due to the fact that because of the single, it doesn't like play a huge role of it, but if you have a hit single coming off, then everyone's like, oh, let's look out for the album. But
they could have even done like This Whole World. It could have been a great single.
This Whole World would have been an amazing single.
Or like Forever.
Forever would have been a good one to have as like the B side.
Yeah.
Because it's that could be like a sleeper hit kind of thing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Although having said that, when it comes to singles, Surf's Up, the singles for Surf's Up charted even worse than Add Some Music, but the album did way better. So
that's true.
Yeah, that's interesting. I also I think a lot of it was poor management, because with Surf's Up, we have, a whole new producer. I think his name is Jack Riley.
Jack Riley, yeah.
Yes. And he knew what, he knew what the people wanted. We're talking about the 70s. This is when people are very, very countercultural, very far like into like, it's drugs. The hippie movement, so like sex, drugs. So I think the Beach Boys with Surf's Up, they sort of hit that nerve more. It's more focused on environmental issues and hippie stuff. But
right.
And we're getting a little too much into Surf's Up, but that's part of the reason why I think I like Surf's Up less, is because it's trying to buy into the era more. And that's a little sad for me, because it's like what makes the Beach Boys so amazing is that they are pure.
I like Surf's Up less because it's not as good. But that that's no, but I think Sunflower should have been a double album, honestly.
Really?
I mean, I understand why it wasn't, because, I mean, they weren't, popular at the time. So their first record on a new label, the label isn't going to let them do a double album, obviously. But, I mean, they had so many Sunflower outtakes. I Just Got My Pay, Games Two Can Play, Soulful Old Man Sunshine. They should have just put them together into a double album. But
I think it's very, 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 very hard to make a double album successful. So if they could have done that, yes. But double albums, I don't think I've ever listened to a double album except maybe Guns N' Roses' Use Your Illusion. That's good,
That's even a weird one because it was released in 2 parts. That's even
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So they had time.
Out of the they have a ton of outtakes. What's the one Dennis one that's like a rocker? Can't remember the name of it.
Going Your Way.
Yeah, I love that song. I totally wish that. I know. I feel like, are there any songs that you think should be? I guess some of the outtakes should have replaced. I feel like At My Window can go. I know.
No.
I don't like At My Window at all.
I love
you can't do that. You can't do that. No.
I don't like Got to Know the Woman. That one kind of.
I don't either.
We can drop that one. We've been over this. We can drop that song. Yeah.
Well, no, I think Tears in the Morning is the one that should be replaced. I think
I would say yes on that, but I know half that's the most divisive song out of all the songs.
Divisive.
Everybody, divisive. Whatever. We had this conversation before we started recording. Half of everybody hates it, and the other half people love it. I'm in the camp that's not a huge fan, but
that's a Bruce song, right?
Yeah.
Deirdre far superior, I would say.
Deirdre's my favorite. Yeah,
that might be my favorite on the album.
Yeah, same.
It's like comparing your children. I love both of them. I can't choose.
One thing I wanted to ask about Cool Cool Water was, I remember a long time ago when I first got into Smile, I found some weird thing that I torrented where it was Smile outtakes, and it had the instrumental to Cool Cool Water with this string section at the beginning. Was that originally intended for Smile?
Was it? I don't think so. I don't think Cool Cool Water
I originally heard this on a weird Smile outtakes album, and then I was like, oh wow, it's on Sunflower.
That's where I heard it too.
Does anyone know? I feel like maybe.
I think I like it more. I like the Smile. I like the Smile outtake version better.
Me too.
Wouldn't it be on Smile Sessions then? If it was.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think.
Is it?
Also, I don't think it is.
It is on Spotify. I like the Smile version.
Oh, interesting.
Spotify.
Okay.
I think the one on Sunflower is way too long. It's 800 hours long, and I get.
Really?
And then there was another, that other cool instrumental. It's an instrumental with a slide guitar. It almost sounds like a George Harrison song. You know what I'm talking about? It's da 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 da. That was the 2 really cool songs on that Smile outtake album. Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I showed this album to my friends.
Nice.
Yeah, almost everybody put Cool Cool Water as their least favorite song on the album.
What?
Really?
We all ranked it. Yeah, and nobody liked that song.
Including
you?
Yeah, including me. That's my least favorite song on the album.
You influenced them.
I didn't influence them at all. That was completely unbiased. And
yeah, I'm joking.
Deirdre won by a landslide, so that was good.
Yeah.
Deirdre was the number 1 from everyone?
Oh, yeah. He's not from everybody, but 3 out of the 5 of us, it was number 1 or 3 out of 6.
My
as
friends
it should be.
loved Deirdre.
Were the other 2 This Whole World?
No, number 2 was, I think, what was it? It was one that was kind of weird that was number 2. Maybe it was Forever. I'd have been Forever.
Kind of
Forever wouldn't be that weird.
Yeah.
So speaking of Forever and speaking of Dennis's songs, we were saying how this was kind of the start of Dennis writing more for the group. Did he write any songs prior to this album, songs that were just strictly written by himself?
Little Bird.
Yep.
He
wrote
Little Bird and Be. Oh, I'm sorry, and Be Still, right?
He wrote Little Bird and Be Still, but Be Still and
Did
he
someone
wrote
else write that?
Yeah,
write that?
Yeah, he wrote both of them with a guy called Stephen Kallinch, who was a poet.
I hate that guy. I don't.
And Brian actually helped a lot with Little Bird, but he's uncredited. Also, so be with me with 2020. Be with me.
Oh, I love that song.
And All I Want to Do is his first solo compositions. So. 2 great ones. I love Mike's vocal on All I Want to Do. Very rough. Very, you don't get to hear that from Mike. So they're both great.
I feel like we need to give credit where credit's due to Carl for all the amazing production on this album. Genuinely so impressive. And it's sad because it did not translate to his album that he did by himself. It's really weird. Carl has a lot of amazing production on a lot of Beach Boys albums from the 70s and 80s, but then like when he makes a solo album, it's like, so.
Well, I mean, with Sunflower, like, I mean, yeah, Carl had more to do with producing, but they all kind of helped each other when it came to production. It's not like it was Carl doing mostly. It would have been Bruce, Nal, and Brian, all coming together and helping. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do like the vibe that you get from this album, though. Right from the beginning with Slip On Through, it just sounds like an album that was made in the 70s to me. You could hear like the transition. I feel like with most decades, you can hear, if a song is from the 70s or the 60s or especially the 80s, and I feel like this is a very definitive kind of 70s sounding album.
And Mike has some of his best vocals on this album. He sounds so good. On All I Want to Do, he sounds fantastic. On Add Some Music, he sounds great. Every vocal, he just kills it. So, good job, Mike.
Good job.
I'm looking at the stats now, and 2 people had Deirdre at 1. One person had Tears at number 1.
Really?
one person had Forever. One person had Slip On Through, and one person had It's About Time.
It's About Time. Wow.
I love It's About Time. Actually,
Yeah,
the guy that had It's About Time at number 1 had It's About Time as number 1, Slip Forever at number 3. So he likes Dennis.
It actually took a bit for me to warm up to Slip On Through just because the lyrics are so mediocre is the best word to describe them.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, So I think it was a little hard for me to get into that song, but after listening to it for a while, you realize it's really great. But
it's a pretty literal song. You're not getting very like deep,
lots of
like,
people with no
stuff.
place to go. Yeah.
I know a place where you can go.
Yeah, it's like, okay,
let me be by your side because I love you.
Yeah.
Because I love you.
Yeah. You do a great Mike voice. I love
Oh, well, that's like a Dennis. Oh, won't you let me be by your side?
Oh yeah, more raspy Dennis. Yeah.
Yeah.
You do a good Mike as well. You do all of them well.
Do a Brian falsetto now.
Oh, I can't do that.
I can't
do.
Now.
Yeah, I don't know where Nate is. I don't know what we're gonna do. I mean, should we?
Yeah, that sucks.
I mean, whenever you want to move on to Surf's Up, I guess we could.
Should we wait like a tiny little bit and just see if
Let me call him. I'm gonna call him real quick.
Yeah. Do you guys prefer Friends or Sunflower?
Sunflower. It's easily.
Yeah, thank you. That's like a normal person. Good.
Okay, there's so many people that really like Friends, and it just, Friends doesn't cut it for
Friends.
me.
I love
Friends. I like Friends, but like, it's like B tier. Like, I'm ranking I mean, it's like probably like.
But Mike, more than Sunflower though.
Yeah.
There's no.
What?
Wow.
You know why?
There's so many people that love Friends.
I'll explain you why though. There's a few songs.
I honestly don't know.
There's a few songs on Sunflower that I don't like. There's no songs on Friends that I dislike.
That's fair. I do think Sunflower has some weaker tracks.
Transcendental Meditation is like whatever. I could do without that one, but I don't dislike it.
No, but Sunflower just has way higher highs in my opinion.
But, it has. I think it has lower lows, but I think the highs. I mean, that's fair. Outbalance it. I think it has
songs.
Some of the highest out of all
the songs that I do like on Sunflower, like the really good ones, are definitely better than the songs I like the most on Friends. But as an album in general, I think
cohesive. Very cohesive.
Yeah.
I think I would have to, if I had to choose, I would probably go with Sunflower. Because it's true that there's certain songs on Friends that I just don't like, and I can't say that I don't like a song on Sunflower. Like I like all the songs on Sunflower for sure.
Brandon, do you prefer Friends or Holland?
Oh, Friends. Holland, man, Holland. You could ask me almost any Beach Boys album, and I'd say I prefer that to Holland.
That's so weird.
Don't even.
I would not expect that from you at all.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Holland.
It's not my fault that Holland's boring, all right? It's Holland's fault that Holland is boring. So,
I think Holland gets more boring towards the end. I like the first 3/4 of it, and then by the end, I'm kind of just like over it.
I kind of don't like Steamboat that much, but I think the rest of the album's good. Steamboat's okay. Funky Pretty's okay too.
Like
but...
I'd rather listen to like 15 Big Ones, Beach Boys 85, any like
Stars and Stripes.
I think Nate's back.
So yeah, should we go into Surf's Up?
Yeah, Nate's getting in. He had to leave for a sec. He's back.
Oh yeah, there he is. Sort of, yes.
Nathan.
Beautiful.
This again.
All right.
I can hear you. Yeah.
There we
Everything's
go.
good.
Okay.
All right, so we just wrapped up with Sunflower, but I mean, if you have anything you want to add before we go to Surf's Up.
I love how this album shows off each member's like personality, and they're each developing their own style. I love the mixing and engineering in the album.
That's
I think
beautiful.
it has such a clean sound, so spacious. Each voice and instrument breathes. It's so pleasant to listen to.
Now, do you prefer
Sunflower
Sunflower? Right, yeah, exactly. Sunflower or Friends?
Sunflower.
Yes, good.
So what is
good
it?
man.
4-1 or 3-2 or 4-1?
It was 3-2.
Tessana, you picked Friends also?
I said okay. So I said I was unsure, and then I said if I had to pick one, I would say Sunflower.
Okay, 4-1.
But I do.
4-1. Nice.
It's hard though. It's hard. Like I go back and forth. But I think I'm pretty solid with Sunflower. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. All right. So now Surf's Up would be the next one.
Yes. And this I don't know. It must have been like when Surf's Up was already released or before, but the Radiant Radish closed in 1971. And, the health food store that Brian owned. And I'm sorry, like, this does not have much to do with Surf's Up, but I just thought this quote was so funny. So, like, when Brian asked what his favorite part about running the Radiant Radish was, he was like, the cash register. And that just made me giggle. I don't know. Anyways, I just had to put that in
health
somewhere.
Food phase?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just the
funny.
cash register.
I love when they talked about that in the Smile documentary when they were saying how he got really into like eating healthy and he wanted everybody around him to start eating healthy, but he like didn't do it himself.
Yeah.
So I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
It's really
All right, so Surf's Up, 1971, opens up with "Don't Go Near the Water." What do you guys think about that as an opening track?
Love "Don't Go Near the
Love
Water."
that.
Good.
I like it a lot.
It's good.
I think the ending elevates it from good to really good for me. I don't think it's great, but I love that kind of slow ending with like the guitar. Like it a lot. Is that an out track?
Mike
and Al.
Mike? Yeah.
And I mean, I love Al's bridge on that.
Me
like
too.
The rocking kind of a bubble bath. That's great.
And those background vocals,
guys.
da-dum, da-dum.
Yeah.
Like it's cool because it kind of gives you some of that doo-wop-y kind of like early 60s Beach Boy stuff, but like it's clearly over more of like a rocking kind of 70s rock song, which is cool. It kind of mixes two different worlds. And I love that opening. I think we talked about this before, but that little opening piano part, if you just really listen to that, it's really out there. It kind of like passes by really quickly and you don't even notice it. But if you just isolate that, you're like, what the hell is going on there? It sounds like, I think Brian had to have something to do with that little opening piano part.
Yeah, that's really dissonant.
Yeah, well, I actually have it on my phone. Let me just play it real quick.
It's so awesome.
And then it just goes right into, so yeah, it's out there. I love it.
Yeah.
Those guitar sound so cool. It sounds like they have like a wah going or a phaser or something. You know what's going on with that?
Yeah. I think it is like some phasing effects. Maybe
perfect for like an underwater kind of sound though.
Totally. It all comes together.
Yeah.
So what was the history? Like, what did this song have to do with? Was there like a water crisis going on somewhere?
Well, I think it was Jack Riley's. I think he actually hinted at like, guys, there's like these issues today that people care about. Let's make music about this because just environmentalism was huge in 60s, 70s, like with the hippies and everything. So I think that was he sort of hinted at that, and then Mike and Al were like, great, let's make this song. And you see a little bit of that there's like a few more environmental songs, like Day in the Life of a Tree. There's like one more, right? Take a Load Off Your Feet, kind of.
Well, there's Looking at Tomorrow, which is one.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a weird song. I don't know how I feel
forget
about that song.
exists.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like the Beach Boys at all. I hear that song, I'm like, who is this?
I think a lot of these songs on this album feel a lot less like the Beach Boys. And
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I think it's because Brian was not as involved. I mean, if you look back, he was doing the American Spring thing during this time.
Well,
So
that was actually Carl. He did before Carl and the Passions, not Surf's Up, but
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I know what you mean
Yeah.
though, because like the first half of the album, kind of like I was saying, has like that 70s sort of rock kind of sound, that
Right.
sound that they're evolving through. But then it ends on a much darker note with Till I Die and Surf's Up.
Which has to be
yeah, that's more the Brian stuff, but interesting contrast between the first and second half in terms of the mood.
I think that's got to be like the best ending out of any of their albums too. Those two songs back to
It's hard
back.
to top
For
those
sure.
two songs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty ferocious.
What's
There's like a pretty rich sort of history behind I think it Surf's Up, where Brian worked like super hard on the song, and this was Till I Die, because Surf's Up was prior, but Till I Die, he was worked on the song like a maniac for weeks, and then like he showed it to them, and there was like kind of a bad reaction to it, and he sort of like holed up and hid it for a while, but eventually like the guy, Jack Riley, the producer, manager, whatever, he was able to get that out of Brian. So
yeah, because Mike was like, oh, the lyrics are too negative.
Mhm.
Yeah, good old
And,
Mike.
well, I mean, he's not wrong, but I mean, and they actually tried more like happy versions of it. Like they
A
changed
happy version of Till I Die. Till I Live.
they changed the lyrics of it. Like I think they got rid of like "It Kills My Soul" and said
And
like
they made I Found My Way.
yeah, stuff like that. So, but thank God they kept it as is.
Right.
Well, it seems like anytime somebody has an issue with the song Brian writes, that's usually a sign that it's going to be really good. You know, as far as Brian's record, with stuff like that happening. So
yeah. So what's next after? So after "Don't Go Near the Water"
you know,
is
Long Promise Road.
Yeah,
I like that song. I think that's a really beautiful song.
that's
I
I
beautiful.
love that song.
This is definitely Carl's album to shine, in my
Shining
opinion.
moment.
Yeah.
I like the
Yeah.
drum grooves too. All these songs have really cool drum grooves.
Totally.
I think I'm going to be low on this, but I prefer Surf's Up to Sunflower. So
I think you are alone on that one.
I think you are
I would almost say that they're tied for me.
Me too, they're tied for
Surf's Up
Summer
is my number 2 album after
Part
Pet
1
Sounds.
and 2. I see
know-
them as a part 1 and 2 of each other.
Bruce really, really does not like this album, Surf's Up.
Which is stupid.
He says, like, there's this whole quote, I have a quote right here, and he says, "To me, Surf's Up is, and always has been, one hyped up lie. It was a false reflection of the Beach Boys, and one which Jack Riley engineered right from the start. It made it look like Brian Wilson was more than just a visitor at those sessions. Jack made it appear as though Brian was really there all the time." And end quote. So
Everything
Bruce does not
said
like
is
this
pretty
album.
true, I feel like.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, obviously, Surf's Up was, like, 5 years old at that point. Till I Die was originally from 1969, so he's not wrong about that, really, you know?
Yeah, Brian was not too involved with Surf's Up at all. It was definitely an effort on Jack Riley's part to make it appear as he was.
As far as Bruce's contributions, though, like that, you know, this album has my favorite Bruce song, probably. You know, Disney Girls, incredible.
Yeah. And we have Bruce and Carl to thank for Surf's Up being pulled out of the vault.
I got my cousin into the Beach Boys because of this album, because he loved this album. I showed it to him. He's like, "This is awesome. I love this." So that was good.
Bruce, actually, this is an ongoing conversation about the origin of Disney Girls, but I read somewhere that the reason he wrote it was because he saw so many kids like in concerts just like super drugged out and in a daze, and like he sort of wanted to paint this like this different reality, and then like reveal the sort of reality of the time. So like painting another reality, which is Patty Page in Summer Days, but then like he steps out of it and speaks the reality of which he's actually living in, which is bad or whatever. I don't know if I articulated that well, but
That's such a Bruce song. Like it's
right.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to write so it's
Yeah, but as I was reading about the origin or the this album, I was just like, man, Bruce seems like kind of a hard guy to deal with in some ways.
Oh yeah.
Bruce is cool, man. I love Bruce. Bruce is great.
Me too. I love him, but he does seem. Never mind.
Yeah, no. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah.
He does seem. I love Bruce, but he does seem. That's it. That's all you got to say.
But with Long Promised Road, I think the highlight is the bridge. I think
those synthesizers.
It's it's just beautiful. Like I think that makes it. So.
And then after that, we have "Take a Load Off Your Feet." I could do without this song.
I don't like this song.
I like this song. I'm sorry.
Too,
I like
it doesn't fit with the rest of the album. The rest of the album is like kind of low key and mopey, I guess.
It would have been better on Friends.
And it definitely would have.
Paul demanded that this song be on this album, though. He was like, it has to be on this album or else.
Because, I mean, Take a Load Off Your Feet, I think, is one of the weakest songs to come from the Sunflower Sessions, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it should have been, and I think the only time Take a Load Off Your Feet should have been released is on a Sunflower double album if they did that. I think that would have been the only time for it to be appropriate, because it frustrates me because people always go on, student demonstration time, it doesn't fit. It fits more than Take a Load Off Your Feet.
Yeah.
At least,
demonstration time fits.
We have a fire drill, so I'll be back in a minute.
Wow.
So many interruptions in this episode. Oh my god.
Interesting timing.
Oh, my ears.
Yeah, me too.
What college does a fire drill at 8:00 on a Friday night?
Yeah, damn.
That's cruel.
It's not actually a drill. No, but
yeah, right. Who knows? That'd be crazy if like it's started, like setting up fire.
But at least student demonstration time fits lyrically. Take a Load Off Your Feet doesn't even fit lyrically. So,
Yeah, that's a good point. I think in terms of the mood, though, I don't know if I would say student demonstration time is more fitting. Maybe in terms of the lyrics, yeah.
Student demonstration time is very, very, what's the word? Disruptive. It's very, very disruptive to the rest of the album. You're listening through the album, and then student demonstration time comes on, and you're like, what is happening? Like, you set up this whole concept, and then it's just, everything's gone.
Honestly, I mean, I'm in the minority here, but I'm honestly perfectly fine with it being on the album. I think it's fun. I think Mike does a great vocal. I love when Mike gets more rough and ragged with his voice. The guitars are just screaming and they sound great.
I like it too.
Yeah.
Does Mike Nate, when you see Mike in the summertime, does he do this one live? I could totally see him doing this.
I wish, but no.
To your point, Tasana, about it just having to do with sort of the countercultural stuff in the 70s too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the lyrics are, right out of that with protesting and talking about Berkeley and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
But
and I think that's one of the things like that make it feels like it's just like a song that's trying to be relevant with the times, and it's very, well, couldn't you just stuck to what works? I mean, it's kind of weird because Mike is usually the one where you think like, oh, he doesn't want to like do anything new or innovative or creative. Like that's the whole Mike stereotype. But then he goes out and makes a song like student demonstration time. So.
Which of course is a cover with changed lyrics of.
Oh really? I never knew that.
Cell Block Number 9 is the original song. So.
Oh, okay. Who's that by?
It's a Lieber and Stoller song.
Yeah, it's I can't remember who sung it. The I feel like they start with R or something.
Cell number 9.
Yeah, cell block number 9. I think.
Yeah, right. And cell block 9.
The first thing that came up was the Blues Brothers.
It could have been one of those songs
Vicky
that
Young,
covered over again.
Wanda Jackson, Vicky Young.
No, that's not there. Anyway,
Dr. Feelgood. All right. So after we got to student demonstration time, I think we skipped over. We didn't go over Disney Girls, but I think we all loved that one.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah, we all love Disney Girls. Yeah.
That is an interesting transition, though. Disney Girls to student demonstration time. Pretty significant vibe change.
That's not the best sequencing. I got to be honest, but.
Yeah. And what is after Disney Girls?
Well, Disney Girls and then student demonstration time and then Feel Flows, which I really like Feel Flows. That's a nice chill song.
Yeah, really creative arrangement.
I think
reminds me of All I Want to Do.
Oh yeah, I can see that. I think Feel Flows is the weaker of the two Carl songs. I prefer Long Promised Road, but it's still alright.
Yeah.
It's still two great contributions.
It's interesting that I'm still pondering over the fact that Carl could write those songs, and then when it comes to the 80s and he does a solo album, he can't I don't know, do what he did here on Surf's Up.
After Holland, he never did that type of music again and never kind of reached those highs for some reason. I don't know what happened. It's like he had his 15 minutes or something, and then it's just didn't happen anymore. The magic was gone. I don't know.
Yeah, it's sad.
Well, when Dennis made his solo album, it was in the early or mid 70s, right?
That's 77.
Yeah, so I almost feel like if Carl made an album in the 70s as opposed to the 80s, I feel like a lot of it is almost just a product of the times, because when you look at the Beach Boys albums in the 80s, they don't sound anything like these,
Right.
Yeah.
What are we on?
We're still on Surf's Up.
Okay.
No fire?
No.
Get your drinks before Josiah comes back.
You're saying that'd be crazy if there was like a fire like in your room. You could do like a really clickbaity title, like Josiah's college lights up in flames during podcast.
Oh my goodness, goes wrong. Yeah.
So we're on Surf's Up where we got up to. We're talking about Feel Flows right now. And just talking about how that and Long Promised Road being Carl's two contributions to the album, and Tessana was just talking about his solo album.
Sick
what are you saying?
Pan flute solo, by the way.
Yeah.
Pan flute, yeah.
Charles Lloyd. Yep.
Yeah.
Do we
that blew my mind. I didn't know anything about that.
Do we prefer Feel Flows or Long Promised Road?
Long Promised Road.
Promised Road, yeah.
I'd probably say Feel Flows.
Me too. Long Promised Road.
2-2.
I gotta say, with Dennis's song 4th of July, the other outtake, I am really happy that's not on the album, because I think it's really boring and forgettable, and I think that's a weak point from Dennis. So I'm glad that didn't make it on there. But
So that would have been the Dennis contribution.
Well, that would have. Well, wouldn't it be nice to Live Again and 4th of July were both supposed to be on it? So. Yeah.
And then we got the Welfare song. Sorry, go ahead.
Version of 4th of July that's been released is pretty much just a demo too at that. I would have liked to hear a full fleshed out version.
Yeah. Yeah, well, would improve it,
Yeah.
What are we now looking at tomorrow?
Welfare song.
Yeah, I don't like this song very much.
I like this one. It's a little overlooked, I think. I mean,
what is the message of this song supposed to be?
Get a job.
Oh, is it anti-welfare?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so who wrote this song actually?
Okay.
Alan, a guy named Gary Winfrey or credit.
Yeah, Alan, this random guy, but this is another cover. This is another cover of just the lyrics changed of a song called The Wanderer by the Kingston Trio.
Oh,
As we all know, Al likes to steal melodies, so here's another example
right.
of that. This time he just steals the whole song. And then the writers of the original song don't even get credited on the album, which I think is interesting. But
I wonder if it's directed. Actually, it must have some. It must be sort of directed at all of the the kids on the streets during the 70s, just like living on the street. It's definitely like a jab, but
get a job, hippie. Kind of.
Exactly. I'm surprised nobody was upset about that, because that would be a little bit offensive during that time, you know?
Yeah, I feel like it's a different time too, though. I feel like back then, probably like the idea of a musician being more conservative probably wasn't as frowned upon as it is today.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's completely different times we're living in now, I would say.
I love Al's vocal on this is so cool. Like, he's just like, he never really sounded like this on another song. Like, it's a really unique vocal. It's higher, in a higher register than he usually sings, and it's just, Al is such a great vocalist.
He still is to this day. He's still.
He still sounds great. Yeah.
He's like the only one who's like basically. Mike too actually has stayed pretty solid, but Al I think has stayed the most solid.
Mike, from what I've seen, Mike's starting to lose it the last few years.
When I saw him in concert, he still sounded pretty damn good. So
yeah, same here.
Oh, that's good.
I want to know where Mike Love shops, because he's got like some of the best shirts I've ever seen.
Really I'm jealous.
Yeah,
he should get his own line of clothing, like how Tyler the Creator has the Supreme clothes or whatever. Like Mike Love should get his own line of
Love.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't know how receptive. I don't know if it would be as appealing to the younger generation. But
I'd buy the whole stuff.
We would. Yeah. I don't know if we're the norm, but we would.
We should be.
Yeah, exactly. So the way the album concludes, we have three interesting choices: "A Day in the Life of a Tree," "Till I Die," and "Surf's Up." Much more on a darker note. What do you guys think of "Day in the Life of a Tree"?
I love it.
Haunting.
And I love how Jack sings on it.
It's so weird, yeah.
You guys want to hear something cool? Jack Riley went to my high school.
That's cool.
Yeah. What? That's rad.
That's wild. How did you find that out?
I don't remember. I think just the internet. Like it was.
You gotta find a yearbook.
Yeah, Wikipedia.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and then I confirmed it when I was at school one time.
Wow.
I love how with this the boys Brian tricked Jack into doing the lead vocal.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny. But I would have preferred Dennis do the lead vocal, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with what Josiah said, though. I think in terms of "Till I Die" and "Surf's Up," and it's pretty hard to top that in terms of like an ending to an album. I don't know if I can think of any other album that ends with such bangers.
Solid.
At the very end.
Yeah.
I mean, "Till I Die" honestly is my favorite of the three. I know "Surf's Up" would be most people's, but "Till I Die" for me does it. So
that might be mine too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, there you go.
It's interesting with "Surf's Up." Brian actually he didn't initially want this song on any album because he thought it was too long, and that's very typical of Brian, because he really likes 2-minute, 3-minute songs based off of Phil Spector's whole formula. But I'm really glad that people pushed Brian more in some ways, because I don't think it would have ended up on Surf's Up if it weren't for people being like, this is great, we want this,
Too long puts the 5-minute cool water on Sunflower.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do prefer the Smile version of "Surf's Up." If that was the version on here, I would probably pick it over "Till I Die." But in terms of just this album, I would probably prefer "Till I Die."
I like this one better because of the mode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
So
I just like the mix more on the Smile one. The mix, it just sounds cleaner to me on Smile.
I can see that.
I prefer the vocal on this one too.
Same, me too.
Well, the vocal melody is different, right? Because that one part, da 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 da, Ken is in town and rest the backdrop, and then the Smile version, it goes Canis in town and brush the backdrop. Right? There's one that goes down, one that goes up. I like the one that goes up better. I mean, it's very nitpicky, but
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I prefer the Smile Sessions version more, but they're both really well done.
Yeah, I think two solid albums that we started out with, Sunflower and Surf's Up.
Right.
And then we get Carl and the Passions, the introduction of Blondie Chaplin and Ricky Fattar.
Honestly, I think this is probably their weakest album before they hit like Keeping the Summer Alive.
Yeah, I'd agree. Good take.
I don't know. This album doesn't do anything for me. It's boring and slow. I probably feel about it the same way Brandon does about Holland.
Yes.
I like it. I think it's a groovy album with a nice variety.
Yeah. I think Here She Comes is good, but
Ricky Fattar, Blondie Chaplin, I don't like when they became members. Like, for me, that just ruins everything. I'm like,
what?
I don't
the
want...
live album?
I'm
they
sorry.
brought so much greatness for me.
Yeah.
I like agree with you, but I also really like Sail on Sailor, and I also like don't agree. But I get where you're coming from. It kind of is like adding more Beach Boys, and it's like no, they're
Yeah. The way I feel about Sail on Sailor, I like the song a lot, but when I see that, especially when I see Brian live and Blondie Chaplin comes out and plays it, I love the song, but I always consider it like a Blondie Chaplin song as opposed to a Beach Boys song. You know, whereas like with the Bruce, like someone like Blondie Chaplin compared to a Bruce Johnson, when I hear Disney Girls, when I hear Deirdre, I think of those as Beach Boys songs. And a lot of the Blondie stuff, I think of it more as his own thing, which is not bad. I think he writes really solid songs, and I like him a lot. But
it's because he doesn't really gel. That's the whole thing. They don't feel like. I feel like it could have been pulled off. It's not like I'm just saying, I don't like them. Like, they're not Beach Boys. It's just they're not. They don't fit into the group like Bruce did.
Yeah.
They just don't, and they never will, and that's probably really mean.
It's kind of like extras instead of they're kind of like additions as opposed to like part of the group. I guess.
Like people who go on tour with a band, but they're not actually in the band kind of vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, Carl and the Passions. Carl and the Passions and Holland move a little too far away from the Beach Boys sound for my liking.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, what songs did Blondie Chaplin write on Carl and the Passions?
Blondie and Ricky did "Hold On, Dear Brother" and "Here She Comes."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I love
great
Here She
ones
Comes.
for me.
Here She Comes is such a fun bass line.
Totally. Good drumming.
Oh, that's a daunt. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah,
that one's really cool. I like that one. Yeah.
I've actually always thought Carl and the Passions. I mean, I don't love Carl and the Passions. I think it's it's obviously weaker than the last two albums, but I mean, I actually think it's a little overlooked by a lot of fans, and I mean, I'm in them. Like, people have said that that I'm nuts when I say I prefer it to Holland, but I just like the variety. Yeah, like Nate said, there's just so many different genres going on. With Dennis's like slow, over dramatic, swooping ballads, and
I really like Cuddle Up. I know people think it's boring, but I don't know. I think it's a good addition.
Well, I think Make It Good, I think, is the problem, not Cuddle Up. Make It Good is just like a less good version of Cuddle Up. So
there are a couple bangers on here, though. All
you
this
need
is that.
You need a Mess of Help to Stand Alone is one of their best opening songs.
Love
it. Is like Carl's gruff vocal. I love when he does that.
There's like a sort of niche group of people who like this album. I mean, I know that Elton John for some reason really liked this album.
How do we feel about naming it Carl and the Passions? I feel like that's just not. It's a weird decision. Yeah,
the story isn't the story behind that name that was like the original.
Their
name
high school band.
When they did the talent show. Yeah.
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 So it is an interesting choice, like just bringing it up at this point in their career.
Yeah. It's like they ran out of ideas.
And then selling the album with Pet Sounds.
Yeah, weird move.
That pressing is awesome, though.
Yeah, I love that.
That's such a good pressing of Pet Sounds.
That's my
Like,
favorite.
I mean, talk about not having much confidence in your new album. So you just like replace it with pet sounds, like.
Yeah.
I wonder what that made Blondie Chaplin and Ricky Fataar feel like too. You know, they're finally on this Beach Boys album, and then the album gets released with pet sounds.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting little message.
I would have liked to. I mean, it always, you know, I've thought about this quite a bit. It'd be really interesting to see what these albums would have turned out like if Blondie and Ricky never joined the group. Like, what would they have sounded like? What songs would have been on them? Would they have been better? Would they have been worse? You know, it's no.
Yeah. Do you feel like they needed them to come in at that point? Do you feel like they were getting stagnant with their writing?
Not really.
Well,
when
you look at it, it's like Sunflower and Surf's Up are the two right before this, and then you add them, and I think this is a drop from Sunflower.
Right.
So like, I don't know. I feel like
it's like
I like, you know, as I said, I love Holland, but I don't know. I don't think they were needed because it seems like, you know, Sunflower, Surf's Up, you know, you're doing something right. So
it's kind of like the equivalent of having summer days and summer nights and today, and then going to a party.
Yeah. Yes.
Well,
I don't know if I got the order exactly right.
Bruce left after Surf's Up, so maybe they felt a hole, and that's why they chose to add new
Bruce
members.
left after Blondie and Ricky joined.
Oh, okay.
Brief time that.
Yeah.
Was there drama?
Yeah, there was.
Basically, with him and Jack Riley and the Wilsons a little bit.
And apparently I love this. What Bruce did is he stole a tape of a song, an outtake called Out in the Country, because he was pissed off that this outside writer, Don Goldberg, had was writing a song for the album, and he didn't like that. He wanted to keep it in like the Beach Boys. So he he stole the tape, which I think is hilarious.
It's hilarious.
That's awesome.
I think Bruce had a lot of passion and fire he had a lot of loyalty, not royalty. He had a lot of loyalty to the Beach Boys, and I think that's really great. Like, cause he wasn't even like, you know, an original member, but I appreciate that. I think it's honorable that he did that, because I honestly do feel that there was quite a bit of loss in the addition of Blondie and Ricky. That's just my opinion.
I mean, and he did write 10 Years of Harmony for this, for Carl and the Passions, which obviously ended up as Endless Harmony, which is interesting.
Right.
So.
Also, in terms of Jack Riley, did he write a song on this album, or was it on Holland?
He co-wrote stuff on Surf's Up, Holland, and Carl and the Passions.
And then also on Holland, that whole like Magic Transistor section, that's Jack Riley doing all the voice
narration.
Brian writing.
Such a weird inclusion, by the way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, maybe that'd be a good segue. I think are we good with Carl and the Passions? Right.
Yeah.
All right. So the second album with Ricky Fataar and Blondie Chaplin from 1973, and it seems like the general consensus is you guys prefer this over Carl and the Passions.
Yes.
Again, I see them as a part 1 and 2. I could see Surf's Up and Sunflower as a whole album, and Carl and the Passions and Holland as a whole album.
Could have been a double album.
I should just skip this one.
All those ones. Although Holland moves a little slowly, but there's a lot of beauty to be found.
I think Holland. I agree. Yeah.
So why is it called the California Trilogy? I've never known that.
There's 3.
I think they were homesick, basically.
Yeah. Because they were in Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's it? Big Sur. Out of the California Trilogy, what's the favorite? Probably Big Sur, I would imagine. Yeah.
I like the 4/4 version of Big Sur.
Yeah,
again, not on the
that.
album.
Yeah.
The landlocked.
Yeah.
Single version of
Landlocked
California Saga. Again, not on the album. So of the album versions, I like probably Big Sur the best.
I could be wrong, but I think 1973, around when Holland was being produced, that Carl started having a lot of problems with substance abuse. I'm not like 100% sure on that one, but like that could have like he's not super involved in this album, at least from listening to it, that's what I gathered.
He was probably the most involved out of all the Beach Boys. He was producing the whole thing mostly.
But I don't know. It just I kind of agree. Like, yeah, he was producing it, but it
detached.
He has the vocal on the Traitor, but it just I don't know. It's not like Surf's Up. Like this is like a Carl album, where like all the past ones are like Brian albums, and this one's just I don't know. I don't see that as much. It seems more of like a collaborative effort than
Carl sings lead on Steamboat, Funky Pretty,
and Traitor.
Only with you.
Only with you. So he sings lead on 4 out of the 9 songs on the album. So I'd say that's pretty.
But Dennis writes Only with You, right? So
yeah.
Is Only with You that piano one that you really like, Josiah?
No, that's Leaving This Town. That's the best song. That's my favorite song on this album.
Like
that song kicks ass.
That and The Traitor are my 2 favorites.
The Traitor, I think, goes on too long and gets really repetitive.
I agree. Tom Petty loves that song, apparently.
Yeah.
I like the way they play The Traitor better live, like in the 73 live album.
I can't listen to that album because the audience is so damn loud. It's ridiculous. It's like insane. Right, that's the one I'm thinking of, right?
No, you're thinking of the 64 one.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, that it's insane. You can't hear the crowd is just going insane.
The girls
you can't even
are
hear
crazy.
the music. The 73 one. That's like, is that a double album?
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, I've seen that one. Sail on Sailor open with Blondie Chaplin, and then Steamboat. Steamboat, I like Steamboat. I think that's a nice song.
Yeah.
I like the guitar solo.
Yeah.
Honestly, the 73 live album might be my Beach Boys Desert Island album.
Wow.
It has a good album of the good balance of the hits and the creative stuff. Well, not
you just feel like you're getting you just in terms of trying to get the most out
everything
of
that you can.
Yeah,
makes sense.
And all the guys sound great on it.
I almost got that on vinyl the other day, but I didn't, and I've regretted it ever since.
I love it.
So doesn't Murray die in 1973?
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's not Holland, but that's a huge historical point when we're talking about the Beach Boys.
Yeah, that's around the time Brian even more so started going downhill. So
really, I would have thought that would have kind of been like a weight off of Brian, as dark as that sounds.
Yeah.
But I mean, he
fucked him up.
Well, what year? I mean, obviously this doesn't happen yet, but what year did Eugene Landy get involved?
75.
Yeah.
Oh, so pretty soon. So a couple out, maybe the next few albums.
Yeah.
So that's going to get interesting when we get to that.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of heaviness in the late 70s, 80s era in Brian's life.
Yeah. It's funny thinking about this in terms of you're saying the brother years and talking about all these different things that culminated at once. I mean, things got pretty real for them between the 70s and the 80s. I feel like when you look at the 60s to the 70s, it's kind of like the happy period,
right.
And then everything gets a lot more real. But yeah, because I'm thinking about all these different things that are going on, and you just keep adding one thing after the other, like the fact that we haven't even gotten to Eugene Landy yet.
Right. I have a weird tangent, but have you guys heard that song that Brian did with Jan from Jan and Dean? It's called "Don't You Just Know It." It's from 1973.
Yeah, it's groovy.
Kind of weird song, but yeah.
I dig it.
So California Saga got those 3 tracks. That's it. I feel like that's an interesting place because you only have 2 full songs. I mean, they're technically full songs, but you get the first 2 songs in the album, and then you have this 3-part saga. I feel like, me personally, I would have liked it maybe a little bit later in the album, but then later on in the album, you have the other little Magic Transistor section. So I think for me, that's kind of one of the things that takes away from this album for me. It kind of seems like it's too broken up, you know what I mean? Whereas Carl and the Pageant, to me, even if I don't like some of the songs as much, it just feels more linear.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like California Saga should even been at the beginning or the end. It's weird that it's in the middle.
Yeah, or if they took out the whole Magic Transistor thing and just put California Saga in the middle or something.
Well,
It's on a separate 45, isn't it?
Yeah, I've never considered the fairy tale to be a part of the album. Like
neither.
It's
Me neither.
Like, it's just a separate thing, it's just a separate
which is weird. I don't know why it exists. Like it's
I like
Brian.
It's just I don't know, it's just weird.
Well, when I first heard this album,
music,
it was on streaming, so I didn't have the vinyl, so I always got used to hearing that whole transistor, thing segment.
I like the sleeve that it comes in though with the vinyl. Yeah. It's cool. It has some like weird.
Brian Drew.
Let me go get it.
Oh, yeah, we should bust out our vinyl for some of this.
But I just have a question for Brandon. Is the reason that one of the reasons that you don't like this album, is that because it's so long?
No, because it's not really longer than any of their other albums.
It just feels longer.
Really, it's only like 36 minutes long, 36 I think, something like that. It's just a slog. I just California Saga, California,
like
Funky
that.
Pretty, and Sail on Sailor are really the only songs that do anything for me, to be honest. So
it's done with like magic marker and it looks cool.
Oh, Nate, do you have the Made in California set?
Not physically, but on streaming, yeah. Do you have it?
I do. Yeah, it's cool.
What do you have the book?
Yeah. I got the physical thing. Yeah.
Is there words in it or just pictures?
No, there's pictures, and then there's like it goes through the Beach Boys story. Talking.
Oh, that's cool. I might have to pick it up.
Except it skips like the most it skips from like Holland all the way to like
Kokomo and stuff. Oh, that's funny.
So it skips like all the like the bad stuff,
Endless Summer did really.
Go ahead.
Endless Summer didn't do like pretty well commercially.
Oh, that's an understatement. Well. Endless Summer was on the charts for 3 years. That's how well it did.
Wow.
So just to clarify, if you listen to Holland on vinyl, where does the album actually end? On Funky Pretty?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, considering that, if I listened to it in that context, I would probably like it more than Carl and the Passions. But I will get back to you on that. That's my gut feeling, but I gotta investigate more.
Yeah, that's how I first experienced it too, was with Magic Transistor Radio, and that annoyed me because it's like weird. I'm trying to listen to music and then you just have Jack Riley talking for like 2 minutes.
Right. And it's not, and it's like such like an experimental segment to just, the album is not very like experimental, I would say, and then it just comes out of left field and you're like, where did this come from?
Sometimes you have Beaks with Eagles and you're not paying attention. Like, is this Magic Transistor Radio or Beaks with Eagles? It's weird spoken word things.
I had no idea what it was about at first. I had to like look up the words on it, and I was like, what is he talking? This is such a bizarre story.
Bad storytelling. That's what it is. It's bad storytelling. It could have been pulled off.
Write that?
No, that was some other poet, like this old poet that did the poem ages ago.
I honestly, I write, so I honestly, my opinion is that it's not a good story, and it doesn't work, and it doesn't hook you in, and you feel bored. Like, I don't know. I think I like it because there's something a little offbeat about it, but it feels more like, poetry that is sort of just like randomized, and it's done to create a certain mood. It feels like it's done to create a certain mood and not really to tell a story. Does that make any sense?
Oh yeah.
It's a little pretentious, honestly. Like,
right,
it's kind of like, oh, look at me, we're being so arty, put in like this poem, in our song. That's how I kind of feel about it. But
yeah.
Not that it's bad, but like the music's cool with like the pan flute or the flute or whatever it is, but.
So 76. So we were saying at 75, Eugene Landia can't come into the picture, right?
Yes. Yep.
And this is interesting because you look at the cover of this. I mean, I would say, is it clear? This is like the most significant transformation, I would say, in Brian's appearance from one album to the next. I mean, there's a clear difference going on right here. That you can't really see it. Maybe I'll get it up.
They all, I
on the
mean,
screen.
no offense to the guys, but they really all look like shit on that album cover. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, come on.
I mean, Dennis kind of always looks good, I think.
Yeah.
But other than Dennis,
looks cool.
Dennis is like holding his own there. You can't really see it. I wish it was more clear.
Yeah, Dennis does hold his own. Brian especially looks bad on that album cover, and that album cover looks so dated too.
Yeah, it's so cheesy.
We kind of
I
skipped.
like the arrangements on this album a lot.
Yeah, we kind of skipped like from like straight to 15 Big Ones, but just interesting little thing is that Bruce wrote I write the songs in like 1974 or something, and he won a songwriting Grammy for that.
Wow.
Isn't that kind of crazy? Like, he distances himself, he breaks up with the Beach Boys, and then he has a pretty successful thing happen. Yeah. So I don't know. Just interesting little thing.
I love those songs.
So is this the first time where there's been like a couple of year gap from one album to the other?
Yeah, that's like the first time.
Yeah, it's 3 years, unless you count the. I mean, no,
In the summer.
including the live album. I guess it'd be 3 years, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they've made an album from that point. They had made
Every
an
year.
album every year since '62. That's crazy. And then they took a couple of years off to write some crazy stuff, and then they made 15 Big Ones. You know, that's what culminated.
Now,
It's
I'm
even
happy.
weirder that it ended up being a cover album after 3 years of no music.
So
I
the
like the
1976
synthesizer use, the percussion use on this album.
It's like Love You, but not kind of, and it's
Precursor.
Yeah.
Love You and a little bit of more rock and roll.
I would call it a C tier Love You.
Yeah. It's a great way of putting it.
But I'm happy that we're looking at it now instead of like a few weeks ago, because I've definitely changed my my opinion on 15 recently. It's a, you know, like before I would have preferred like MIU and stuff like that. Now I definitely prefer 15 Big Ones. It's just got that charm and that likability in the roughness of it, and the lack of effort that kind of sounds, you know, but it's in like a kind of charming way.
Right.
I totally agree.
And this album is during the Brian's Back campaign, right? So a lot of goofy stuff there.
Yeah.
Brian's Back.
Yeah, weird marketing strategy, but it ultimately worked in the short term, but probably not for his mental health in the long term.
Didn't rock and roll music like actually chart pretty well?
Oh yeah, like number 3, I think.
Number 5, yeah.
Number 5, yeah.
Yeah, there are some good songs in here for sure. I mean, after going back and giving it a second chance, I did like it more than I had initially thought.
I actually have a quote from Dennis on this album, because Dennis really didn't like this album. He said, quote, "People have waited all this time anticipating a new Beach Boys album, and I hated to give them this. It was a great mistake to put Brian in full control. He was always the absolute producer, but little did he know that in his absence, people grew up, people became as sensitive as the next guy. Why do I relinquish, how do you say that word? Relinquish my rights as an artist. The whole process was a little bruising." So, yeah.
Did Dennis write any songs? I mean, these aren't all covers though, right? There are a couple of originals.
Yeah,
like Brian and Mike songs and then covers.
Yeah, like
I think sometimes Brian and Mike write some great stuff together.
It's half covers, half not
it's half
covers.
half originals. The only original song on it out of the 7 that Brian had nothing to do with is "Everyone's in Love with You," which is just a Mike song, which is pretty crap.
Of course, he put "Everybody's in Love with You" in there. It's such a Mike thing to do.
Everyone's in love with you.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, "Had to Phone You" is great.
I think that's the best original off the album.
It's Okay is a banger and should have been the lead single instead of Rock and Roll Music. But
well, rock and roll music worked fine, but yeah, I'll agree.
Well, but it's Okay is better than their arrangement of Rock and Roll Music. So, you know, I think it deserved to be a hit more than Rock and Roll Music. But anyway, that same song's a lot of fun. And, you know, Back Home, that, you know, all the originals. Susie Cincinnati is a great Al effort. So, you know.
Yeah.
Out of the covers, what does everybody think is the best one?
I
Pretty
love
sure.
Just Once in My Life,
Yeah,
Blueberry Hill, Palisades Park. Man, they're all so good.
I really think Just Once in My Life is one of my. I mean, that'd probably be top 20 Beach Boys songs for me.
Yeah,
that would be
I
mine too.
really like that arrangement.
Me too.
I think it's infinitely better than the original as well,
Yeah.
which might be hot, but
no, I agree.
it's
I love
awesome.
both versions.
Yeah, like Palisades Park again. It's Carl doing that gruff kind of vocal again, which I like. The tempo's a little too slow compared to the original, which is has much more energy. I like, even though this is an awful vocal from Dennis, like probably his worst on an album, In the Still of the Night I kind of like as well.
I love it. I like Palisades Park. I like Jane and Dean's version better than the Beach Boys version, but both are cool.
The only time ever you can say that Jan and Dean did a better version of the song than the Beach Boys.
Oh, I think their Surfing Safari and Surfing are both better too.
No way, no way. Their Surfing is not better. I love Surfing so much.
But 15 Big Ones, the mix does let it down. It's poorly mixed, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it just doesn't pop. It doesn't have any oomph. It just sounds flat.
It's got some of the vibes that Love You has, but I feel like, just like I was saying, just like very much not as good. Like, it's obviously incorporating a lot of those synths that were available at the time, but I think Love You is far superior.
Well, and then you got the outtakes from 15 Big Ones, which there were quite a few, mostly covers, which, stuff like Shake, Rattle and Roll and Sea Cruise were better than a lot of what ended up on the album. But then you've got an original instrumental called Short Skirts.
I love that.
Which is such just a fun, stanky kind of saxophone kind of thing going. And I wish they made that into an actual finished song, because that would have been good, I'd feel.
Yeah. But, such a good groove.
Yeah.
Are we ready for Love You?
Love You.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. I have this one on vinyl. I brought it just because it's my favorite album cover.
Yeah.
It's really, it's really hard to beat that for an album cover.
Good album cover by Dean Torrance.
Yeah, Dean's a good.
And the
good
previous
artist,
one was by Dean too.
Yeah. Still, it looked pretty weird on the back of this one too. Brian's got his shirt off. I don't know what's going on there. Mike's got some like weird like hat.
Oh my goodness. Scoopy.
Dennis looks fine again. He's always
such a beautiful album.
I thought you were gonna say Dennis was such a beautiful man.
He is.
Well, I wouldn't be wrong.
I think you could objectively say he's probably the best looking of all the Beach Boys.
Absolutely.
Although to give Brian in the late 80s, when like around Brian Wilson 88 time, when he lost all that weight and he had his hair kind of like slicked back and stuff like that, he was looking pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
Really?
Look like Michael Madsen.
I think Carl is like. Anyways.
Carl in the early 80s, when he like lost the weight and stuff like that, looked really good.
Yeah, it's good.
I gotta find a picture of myself from high school, because the hair that I had in high school kind of looks like Brian from '66, like the Pet Sounds era. I don't even know if I have the picture.
We were talking about this before when Josiah was gone, but Josiah kind of looks like Brian.
Oh yeah, there we go.
See the hair?
Yeah.
Hair. Yeah.
That kind of just like kind of like not a bowl cut, but just like that beat. Yeah, I guess kind of like that Beatles haircut.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how we got into that. What were we just
Dust
talking
boy
about?
sort
Love
of
you.
Love you.
Love you. Love it.
Love.
Yes. Love you.
The album designer. I don't know if this means the artwork for album design, but Dean O. Torrance.
Yeah.
Shout out to whoever that is.
That's
Jan and Dean.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
People are gonna be mad at me for that.
Whoever that is. Yeah. Patti Smith really liked this album, if you guys know who she is. She's this this weird cool, she's cool, but like she's definitely does not sound like the Beach Boys, but she wrote a really great review, and I think it directed a lot of people towards Love You. So
And this is the last album that Brian completely produces for a long time, or is it forever?
Yeah,
with the Beach Boys.
Well, he did more.
Well, like that's why God made the radio he produced. How much he actually produced himself is, up for debate. But
but a lot of times when people talk about this album, they almost make it sound like it was like a Pet Sounds kind of situation where Brian was just in the driver's seat doing anything he wanted.
No, it was really.
Certainly.
Yeah, it was.
He needs to calm down with the synths a little bit, but this album.
No, he does not.
Yes, he does.
He does not. He does. What do you mean?
It's so much synth. I don't get me wrong. A+ album for me, but so much synth.
That's the point of it. That's what makes it. What
I think it's nostalgic for me too, because a lot of those synth noises bring me back to like my childhood playing like Nintendo, like
Well, that's why the cover fits so perfectly. Is because it's
oh my god, it completely fits the entire vibe. Opening is Roller Skating Child. I'm not crazy.
No, let us go on this way. That's out of order. That's out of order. The track listing on the back of the album.
Okay.
Which is annoying.
Yeah, I don't know
why they do that. What are they thinking? It's like Pink Floyd The Wall, where they don't have the track listing on the back of the album. Like, why are you doing that? You want people to know the titles of the songs or not?
Yeah, but that's such a good opener.
Carl's like crazy on that song. He's like, to get you.
Baby went through the ring. It is really That's great.
Sounds like angry. It's like he's like it feels like he's like curling his lip when he's singing that song.
I love when Carl sings like that. It's great.
Yeah, it's really
he's letting out all that anger from not doing much in Holland, like you were saying. Right? Like, finally, here we go. or 15 big ones, I guess.
Yeah.
That's great opening.
And Roller Skating Child.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite.
It's so I can't get past the lyrics either.
Yeah, like I can't listen to it just because it's like it feels like Lolita or something. You know
that one and Hey Little Tomboy, like those two together, I can't do them.
It's like no.
Although I do think it does have a fun beat. So
when we get to MIU, I'm gonna have a little rant about
Hey Little Tomboy's a bit odd, yeah.
Love You reminds me of Today, and that Mona. The first side is like an upbeat pop rock side, and the second side is introspective.
Exactly.
One song,
and I love Johnny Carson.
I don't think gets enough love on this album as Good Time. I love Good Time.
That's a really
original American Spring song.
Yeah, it was on American Spring. Yeah, they should have re-recorded it for the album though. I don't like how it sticks out with Brian's vocal and the lack of synth. It's just not right.
Right.
But lyrically it fits, which is weird considering it was. Well, I guess that's why they picked it as an outtake. But
I love the thought of Brian just like sitting down writing a song about Johnny Carson. Like I just picture Brian like being up really late at night and he's just flicking through the TV and Johnny Carson's on and something just sparks something in him and he just starts writing lyrics about Johnny Carson.
That's such a good riff.
Oh, I love it. I love the production on that song.
I think someone asked I think somebody was talking, I forgot the origin story. There's a great origin story behind the song. But someone was talking about Johnny Carson and was like, like you couldn't write a song about that, haha, or something. And Brian was like, no, I can. And then he writes it in like 20 minutes or something.
Well, and then a lot of people say that like, because apparently it was like it was kind of like a Landy thing because like Brian was going to appear on Johnny Carson and to kind of like calm his nerves a bit, he kind of like wrote this song and people kind of say like it's like really Brian talking about like he's the kind of host and like he's got the audience on him and stuff. So like
Yeah, I can definitely see that. It seems a little too deep for Brian to think in that way, with all the drugs he was doing at that time, like Landy drugs, obviously, but like, so my interpretation of the song was it's just Brian wants to write a song about Johnny Carson, because he's a simple guy, I can see it both ways.
I think the nitpick, the thing that just lets down Love You, the tiniest bit for me is Love Is a Woman.
I love that song.
Yeah, I don't mind that song either.
I think it's the weakest on the album. I'd be totally fine. It's not a bad song, but I do think it's the weakest, and I don't like how it ends the album. Airplane is a perfect ending to the album. I'd be perfectly happy if it just wasn't on the album. I don't think it was needed. And there's an outtake from Love You called That Special Feeling, which is just a demo, but that's much better. Do you know that, Nate? That Special Feeling?
Yeah, I like that song.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I love Love Is a Woman. I mean, like, I feel like it could have done without it repeating the bridge, the "A woman is love." It didn't need that, but I always get like the "poo poo poo love." Like it's very I love that.
I think it improves when it gets to the 1 2 3 2 3. She's fallen in love with me. You know that part's like the best. Like that part, but cool. Yeah.
I just love Brian's like raw vocal. I think that maybe is that why maybe you don't like it, because it's very like.
No, I'm fine with Brian's like. I mean, Brian's vocals on 15 Big Ones and Love You and Adult Child are just so charming. You know, they just have so much character. I don't have a problem with his vocal. It's just I just don't think the song's that good, really.
Okay.
In terms of like the 70s, like Brian's voice getting more raspy, one of my favorite tracks that sort of demonstrates that is Let's Put Our Hearts Together.
Yeah.
I've always just loved that song, and I think just
song.
like the production and the kind of instruments and, you know, synths and stuff that they were using at the time with Brian's vocals in the context of this song, I think is really fitting, creates a really interesting vibe.
Marilyn has a very unique voice.
Yeah.
You know, her voice, you know what I'm talking about? Like, I don't know why, but her and her sisters have very, very unique voices.
I wouldn't say they really have what you'd call good voices.
Amazing voices, yeah, but they're interesting.
You know, yeah. I mean, Let's Put Our Hearts Together is honestly up there as one of the most like charming and wholesome songs I've ever heard. It's just so, it's so sweet. I love it.
Night Was So Young is another one.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Love that. Yeah, beautiful. Amazing vocal harmonies. Yeah, that little guitar thing in the back. And also Solar System. That's probably my favorite track on this album.
Oh, really? That's actually one of the lesser ones.
What do the planets mean?
That's like one of those songs, the more I listen to it, the more I like it. I mean, more from a music theory perspective, the chords are really interesting in that one. And it's just so Brian, just the lyrics, you know. Saturn has rings all
around it.
Saturn has rings all around it.
I searched the sky and I found it. Yeah.
It's almost like it's kind of like cute, you know, like cute and innocent.
Yeah, he said he wrote it when he thought he sort of started brainstorming when he was driving his daughter to school or something. So it's sort of that childlike, you know.
Imagine getting dropped off to school from Brian Wilson, like in his bathrobe.
Well, apparently Brian was actually taking some astrology classes at university.
Okay, UCLA.
Yeah, UCLA. Yeah. But also Airplane. Well, actually, just Mike in general. His vocals are much better here than they were on 15 Big Ones for some reason. He's less nasal on here. Like Airplane, he sounds like I like his vocal on Airplane. He sounds good. So.
So yeah, that's Love You.
I'm gonna move on.
I think. Yeah.
Maharishi International University.
Oh boy. Yeah. So
that's what that stands for.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So didn't they actually initially when they were gonna start recording the sessions for this song, Mike, Brian, and Al showed up, but Dennis and Carl didn't show up for the sessions. So Dennis and Carl, they don't really like this album at all. They're kind of.
Hang on a minute. We can't skip out on Adult Child again. We can't do it again. We have to do Adult Child. I haven't heard it. You haven't heard Adult Child?
Oh, it's awesome.
What? Yeah, oh, Mike, what are you doing?
You gotta listen to it. It's awesome.
I tell you, we gotta do an episode. We gotta do an episode just about unreleased albums.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Let's save our thoughts, guys, because we have so many good thoughts on Adult Child. So we gotta save our thoughts.
Don't spoil it. Yeah, don't ruin the surprise.
Yeah. All right.
Exactly.
I feel like such an idiot doing these. All I'm doing in these episodes is exposing my ignorance. I feel like, like all these people are gonna watch, be like, wait, this guy knows how to play all these songs. He doesn't know like who Jan and Dean are.
we can skip Merry Christmas with the Beach Boys. That doesn't need to be their unreleased Christmas album, but we can skip that.
Okay. But back to MIU. It stands for what?
Maharishi International University.
That makes this album sound like way more trippy than it actually is.
It's definitely not trippy at all.
Like saying like having Maharishi in the album title and then opening with She's Got Rhythm is very misleading.
My uncle has been there and visits there.
In India?
Oh.
No, the one in Iowa.
In the States,
Wait, are you talking? Wait, Maharishi?
Yeah, that MIU is in Iowa.
Wait, Maharishi though, is that the same guy that the Beatles went to?
Yeah, the Indian guy. Yeah.
It's just the institute in Iowa. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Iowa, of all places, isn't that very interesting? Right. Iowa.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys have ever been to Iowa, this is literally
I can't say that I have.
Nowhere. No. But if you I'm in the Midwest, and if you've ever been to Iowa, it is literally like you drive through it, and it's literally just rolling hills. Like, it's beautiful, but there's nothing there. So it's just very interesting that he chose Iowa of all places.
Maybe that's why he picked it. A lot of those people, like, did you ever see that documentary? I think it's called Wild County or Country or whatever.
I haven't seen that, but I know what you're saying. Isolation.
It was like this guru who had all these followers, and he like bought a bunch of property in the middle of nowhere in Oregon, and basically like all of his followers moved in there, and they started voting, and they started doing all these things, and they basically like took over a town because they outnumbered the people there. So maybe it has something to do with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So MIU, She's Got Rhythm.
No, what a great opener! That I love like Brian's falsetto on that. It's just so I love it.
Yeah, MIU, it's been growing on me recently.
It's a pleasant listen.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. It's enjoyable.
I can't say that I like it. I definitely can't say that I like
it. I mean, it's a massive letdown from Love You, but and even Adult Child, really, it's a big letdown.
Yeah.
I definitely like it more than 15 Big Ones.
Yeah.
Am I a minority in that one?
It's close. It's close. They're close for me.
It is close, honestly. It is close between
them. But 15 Big Ones has a couple of songs. Like 15 Big Ones had Just Once in My Life and Had to Phone You. And I don't think MIU has anything that kind of stacks up. It's a song that I really must hear occasionally.
For me with MIU, She's Got Rhythm, Come Go With Me, and Pitter Patter are like the top songs. Like, they're the killer songs on it. I love those three, but
I like Sweet Sunday Kind of Love.
I do too.
Me too. I love that song. I love that song.
And Wind of Change, My Diane. I really like the second half of this album. I don't really care so much for the first half, but for me, it really picks up in the second half.
Yeah, thoughts on Hey Little Tomboy?
No, I don't like that song.
If anyone likes this song,
I hate it. In fact, I'm going to be honest.
I want to know.
It feel weird. It gives me a weird vibe. I'm not gonna
it is vastly superior.
The lyrics are creepy.
It's vastly superior to Amusement Parks USA, though, so I'll give it that.
I like Amusement Parks USA more, probably.
No.
I mean, like, Hey Little Tomboy, like, to be fair to it, has a great melody.
Yeah, it gets stuck in my head, unfortunately.
You know, like, it's really catchy and fun. It's just that the lyrics let it down, which is unfortunate. So it's just such a weird choice. Out of all the songs from Adult Child they could choose to put on MIU, they go with Hey Little Tomboy.
Yeah, I agree.
I sometimes worry that maybe, like, there's a difference between someone being, like, a pedophile, or you can be a hebephile, which is someone who's, fetishizes teenage girls, is attracted to teenage girls, and sometimes I do worry that maybe Brian was attracted to teenage girls, and I'm like,
yeah, I've had that too. It's kind of it's just
uncomfortable.
It's just slightly there because it has you have Hey Little Tomboy and Roller Skating Child, both kind of the same thing for me.
And he was 20 and married a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Right. That's and for the time that was normal,
common.
but that's
Yeah.
still a little weird.
Well, see, the thing is, the fact that with Brian's like creepy kind of lyrics and stuff, you've got like "Hey Little Tomboy," "Roller Skating Child," "Lazy Lizzie," which is an outtake, and anyway, you've got those. But the fact that they were all written within like a year or two of each other, kind of shows you that Brian was obviously not in a good state at that time, because he didn't write anything like that before or since.
Yeah.
So
that's fair.
That's a good point you brought up.
I think you have to take everything that Brian writes in this period through that lens, because I can't even imagine what his mental state must have been like. I mean, at this point, so he's been with Eugene Landy for 3 years at this point. Was it really? I mean, I don't know if you guys know.
Actually,
was it really bad at the beginning already?
Well, actually, because what happened is, he was only the first time he was only with Landy
a year.
About like a year and a half or something. So like from 75 until like December 76. So, and then he was like charging too much or something like that. So they got rid of him. And the first time he was quite subdued in his therapy, compared to what came. So I think he actually did help a bit the first time. Cause I mean, like, who knows how long it would have been until Brian like returned to doing albums if he wasn't around, right? Like he could have just stayed, in his shell for even longer. Who knows? But then
that's what's weird about the Landy thing, because some people portray it as being nothing but bad, but then other people will say that there was some good that came out of it.
Well, he pulled him out of it. Like clearly, he pulled him out of it, and I don't think it's something where you can. It's not fair to say like that he didn't help Brian, because he did. But he definitely abused his power.
But I mean, if Brian didn't have that change in like when Landy came back in like 1983, because Brian had a drug overdose, and then they got Landy to come back, and they said the guys said, we're not gonna give you your salary for 1982 if you don't get back with Landy. So Brian probably would have died.
Exactly.
Wasn't for Landy, but then he gave him so much antipsychotic medication that he like full on damaged his brain since then. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
And I've heard stories that like some of those Brian solo albums, like, is it true that Eugene Landy was like forcing him to write music?
I've heard that. Yeah.
So that's why I always have a hard time listening to some of those 80s and 90s solo stuff, just knowing the circumstances. It's just very dark. Just hearing it.
The thing that's incredible to me is that, Brian Wilson 88 and the unreleased Sweet Insanity, they're the two albums that Landy had, a lot to do with. Especially Sweet Insanity, Landy like wrote lyrics on like every single one of the songs on that album. So
weird.
But so the two solo albums where Brian is with Landy and like being like, pretty much forced to write stuff and like on all these drugs where, up to the point where he's a zombie, are like his two strongest solo albums somehow, which is just like insane. But
Eugene Landy died in 2006. I'm looking at it right now.
Heart attack.
Heart attack.
That's interesting. Honestly, sometimes when people are in some really, really bad emotional states, they can produce some of the greatest music ever. I mean, I think it comes to with a lot of art, when you are in a really bad place, you can sometimes it's really easy to make really compelling music or paintings or whatever you do, Yeah.
It's saying here that Eugene Landy was with Brian from 75 to 76, and then there was a break until 82, and then it went from 82 to 92. So altogether, he was with Brian for 11 years.
No.
Wow. Yeah.
Sorry, a fact to actually, a thing with Shit's Got Rhythm is that actually, like Brian, because there's three writers on that, Mike, Brian, and a guy called
Ron Outback.
Ron Outtakes, thank you. And that was actually like Brian didn't even come up with like the music for She's Got Rhythm. What happened is that there was a movie out in '78 called Almost Summer, which Mike's solo kind of like a side project and Celebration did the music for the soundtrack of the movie. So they released like a soundtrack album, and the instrumental for She's Got Rhythm is on that soundtrack album. So that's where it came from, Ron's instrumental version.
Interesting. Oh yeah, MIU. Are we good on MIU?
Yeah, Bells of Paris sucks. We can move on now.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on MIU? Or are we ready?
Boring album cover. Bad.
True.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It's so bland. It's terrible.
2 albums in a row with abbreviations.
It looks like something my grandmother would hang up in her living room.
That is that is a very weird album cover. Like what it's like.
LA is an awesome album cover too. So like, don't know what the deal is.
And Bruce is back on LA. Bruce is back.
Yep.
Bruce is back.
LA looks really nice on vinyl. The thing I like about LA too is like for some reason it always pops up when you're at like a Goodwill going through like the vinyl. They always have this, and they always have that '73 live concert.
Oh no, I see that all the time.
Which one?
No, it's not a Beach Boys album. It's just the one with the lady that's whipped cream all over.
I don't know that. I always see Engelbert
Humperdinck, man. I was at an antique store today, dug through like 30 crates, and I kid you not, 50% of the stuff was Engelbert Humperdinck.
Oh, he's all over the place. He's got that market of antique. He's got the antique store market down.
Who's buying Engelbert Humperdinck albums though? Like,
nobody. That's why there's so many there.
You never meet anybody. It's like, yeah, Engelbert Humperdinck's my go-to.
Right. Yeah, let me see. Let's see how many listens he's got on Spotify. Engelbert.
I was wondering that too.
Over 1 million. Wow.
I have to actually go right now. Hopefully, I can rejoin. Have to give someone a ride, but I will. I'll text you and hopefully you can rejoin.
Well, you'll have the link, so it'll be in the email regardless.
Okay.
All right. Cool.
Sounds good.
All right. See you soon. Yeah, Engelbert Humperdinck's most listened to song is "Can't Take My Eyes Off You,"
which is Frankie Valli. So what does that say about Engelbert Humperdinck?
I have to check that out. I might just have to listen to just that one song just to see what he's all about, because there is a big mystery surrounding this guy.
To be fair, literally like none of the crooners from the 50s and 60s actually wrote any of their own material. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it's true.
All right,
I
Light Album.
don't even like Frankie Valli's version. The version I like is...
Whoa, hold up.
I know I suck. I know, I'm terrible. But Lauryn Hill's 90s version, it's just it's amazing. You have to listen to it if you haven't. It's amazing. Lauryn Hill from like Fugees.
From Farside?
No, Fugees.
I'm sorry. Wait, who is Farside? Is that a rap group?
That is a rap group. They did what's it called? Their biggest one is called, oh, I forget the song. They're called The Far Side. I'm literally forgetting. I'm blanking. But no, Lauryn Hill is from the Fugees, but then she became a solo artist, and then she did a solo album, and she did a cover of Can't Take My Eyes Off You, and that cover is amazing. So you guys have to listen to it.
Heath Ledger's version from 10 Things I Hate About You. That's
my goodness.
I've seen it.
Yeah. That's actually the one rom-com I actually like. So otherwise I'm like, nah.
I love rom-coms, but that's
oh my goodness.
Wait, what's
off topic. Yeah,
Are you serious?
Yeah, I love The Thing and I love rom-coms. So, I have consistent taste.
Yeah.
And the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm a huge movie fan, and rom-coms, that's the only genre of movies.
That's so weird, man. What?
The right rom-coms are awesome. You got
like
you
really,
When Harry Met Sally is one of the 20 greatest movies ever made. One of my 20 favorite movies ever made.
Is there any other ones? Is that the only one you can name?
No, there aren't other ones. That's just my go-to when I think of great rom-coms.
The Wedding Singer is peak rom-com.
Most Adam Sandler movies.
Oof. No.
Wow.
I don't even want to talk about it.
You know what we should do? No, if you guys are big into movies, I'm a huge movie person. We should do
me too.
a movie. We should do a movie episode one time.
Let's do that.
That'd be fun.
Yeah,
Like
I'm,
top
I'm
10
like,
favorite movies or something. That could be cool.
yes,
That'd be
we
hard,
should
but-
do that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Especially
Oh,
now
yeah.
that like with this coronavirus stuff, I've been rewatching so many movies. Like
I'll throw on Love
my-
and Mercy just to look cool.
Yeah,
Not
that is
actually
a
on
great
there.
movie.
But
All right, should we get to Light Album?
yes, yes, we should.
Incredible
So
cover.
Josiah
Bruce
hates
is
no, Josiah hates this one, so we can just skip it. It's all right.
I'm not crazy about this one either. I'm looking at
Me
the
either.
track.
Oh, that's
I'm looking at
that's
track
a
list.
travesty.
It's it's okay. I'm still think Love You is the peak from the later 70s.
Yeah. Nobody's gonna disagree with you there.
I mean, Good Timing is an incredible opener. I won't deny that. I think it's the strongest song as their opener.
Best post Holland song for me though is "Going On" is awesome.
Going on.
I really love "Going On," but
Me
that's
too.
not the Light album. But that's
Yeah,
such a
not
good
Light
song.
Album.
God, that's quite a claim. Best
Yeah.
post Holland song.
I would honestly not
Okay. Let's
disagree.
Let's put our hearts together. Probably more, but
Yeah, the entirety of Love You is like, it's hard.
Going
Yeah.
on, going on, going on.
yeah, I prefer "L.A." to "Love You." So kill me.
What?
Right.
No, I'm gonna have to leave. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to leave.
We're
I
all
knew he was
full
gonna
of
hate that.
controversial opinions in this. I love it.
Yeah.
I can't say anything about this album, so you guys just,
Well, Brandon, to be fair, they're both like A++ albums for me. So
Don't backpedal. Just.
yeah. Um,
Oh man.
I can't believe they didn't let California Feeling be on this
Oh.
album though. That's one thing.
Bruce-
Like, what are you
Bruce
doing?
is big dumb. Bruce is just
Yeah.
like, well, I'm the boss and I'm picking which song goes on the album, and this one is, and this one isn't.
we can get rid of Shorten and Bread. That can go.
Oh, yeah, we
Um,
can.
So did
Again-
Bruce come
again.
back in the group by Love You? Or
No,
15 Big Ones?
No, LA is when Bruce came.
It's-
Oh, so he wasn't. So he was gone from Carl and the Passions up to
Right.
MIU.
Right,
Although he does have vocals on every album except MIU.
right.
He's just not.
He was
Yeah.
Sneak.
Who was
Come on.
picking the songs that go from Adult Child onto these albums? Because who wants Shorten and Bread and Hey Little Tomboy as opposed to like Deep Purple or something like that? I don't know. It really ticks me
Yeah,
off.
I like Deep Purple.
It's just like probably the two worst songs for me off Adult Child are Shorten and Bread and Hey Little Tomboy, and he puts those two on the albums.
I like. I think Shorten and Bread. No, but the Adult Child version's better than of Shorten
Yeah.
and Bread. Better than the LA version though. So.
Yes, I agree.
Mama's little baby loves shortening.
I love
Um,
it.
and yeah, we had talked at Here Comes the Night at the beginning, but that song's just awesome.
So good. So good. Not such
LA.
a great in terms of like a longer song too. It just doesn't get boring at all.
No.
It keeps the
No.
intensity the entire
Yeah.
time. And counter to what we were saying before about Brian wanting to do shorter songs. I don't know did Brian write this one? Because I know it was on 2020.
Yeah,
No,
it was
he
on,
wrote
yes,
it.
it was
Wild
on-
Honey.
It was on Wild Honey.
Or,
right?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
he did
Wild
write
Honey.
He did write it, yeah.
I mean, I think this version is far superior.
Oh
though.
yeah,
The
it's
other
so
one is
much
kind
more
of boring
fun.
compared. Yeah, when you
Yeah.
go back to the other one from this one, it's kind of boring.
Not to like go back, but I feel like we didn't talk about Honkin' Down the Highway, and I'm a little bit like,
Oh, that's
I
great.
want to talk about that song.
That's great.
You
Great
know?
album vocal.
Honkin',
Honking down the gosh darn,
Yeah.
huh?
Anyways, we can go back, but I just wanted to acknowledge that song
Yeah, you should.
because
That's good.
it
That's a
deserved
good
it.
Good call.
But
Sumahama, great Mike song.
Which one?
I don't like that song. That's probably.
Sumahama.
I don't like Sumahama or Shorten and Bread. You know what? I'll admit I like Sumahama more than I should, but
More than I should.
but I will admit that it's not one of the better songs on this album.
Are there
So-
any songs you're embarrassed to like by the Beach Boys, but you're like, I just can't not like it?
No. Not for
Um,
me.
no, I wouldn't say so. I probably
There-
like. Yeah, I don't like Amusement Parks USA, but I just hate that song. It's like beyond
was like
hatred for me.
there was
So-
one time when I started getting into like learning the Beach Boys songs on the guitar. There was like a little period where I would hang out with some of my jazz friends and I would write out charts for some of the more intricate songs, but then I also wrote out California Girls and we played it together, and I just felt like everyone thought I was so lame for liking that song. So that was probably the only moment that I know, I think it's a classic, but I feel like, you know, we were going from songs like Surf's Up and like Till I Die and God Only Knows, and then we just did like California Girls, and I just felt like everyone was just judging me while we were playing. Why does he like this? Where's this coming from?
Now, LA has the least amount of involvement from Brian on an album other than Summer in Paradise. So
Okay.
the only thing Brian had to do with on LA is, well, obviously he wrote Here Comes the Night, you know, over a decade earlier, and he wrote Good Time, and that's it. That's all he had to do with it. So
I love Going South and Full Sail. I think they're very similar, but I like the vocals so much on both of them.
It's a good vocal, but I mean, Full Sail is fine. Going South is just a nothing of a song. It just lies there.
I don't know. I love the chorus.
But LA, I think out of all their albums, LA is the one that could have been improved upon the most if they used the right outtakes, because there was a lot of outtakes from LA.
Agreed. I think you're right about that. I definitely think you're right.
Like, again, their cover of Calendar Girl would have been fun to add some energy to the album, I think. California Feeling, Looking Down the Coast, Santa Ana Wins.
Santa Ana Wins ended up on, but I guess that would have been improvement,
This song sounds so much better than, like, it sounds so much better than MIU, and I feel like that's one of the reasons, like, why it's easy to like this album, because, like, MIU is, in some ways, it can be hard to get through.
I think I like MIU more than LA.
Wow.
It's so great. We all have such different opinions.
Well,
I love it.
LA, I think, is a better album than MIU, but I think MIU is more fun to listen to. So it's kind of, you know, it's hard. But
what do we think of the Dennis tracks on this one? He did Baby Blue. What were the other two?
He did Baby Blue, Angel Come Home.
Yeah.
Oh wait, he sang on that, right? And didn't Carl write Angel Come Home about, like, his wife and him getting a divorce? Yeah.
Actually, Carl wrote that, yeah.
Oh, Carl got a divorce?
Yeah. It's really sad.
That's when, that was in the late 70s when he was, like, he put on a bunch of weight and he was, like, doing heroin and all that stuff.
Was Dennis ever married?
Like 800 times probably.
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah.
Of course, to Mike's daughter the last time.
Weird.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah. See, there's so much, like, darkness in, like, the end of Dennis's life.
Dennis is so messed up, and I love Dennis. I mean, more, you know, as much as anybody.
Mike's daughter. So Mike's daughter was a Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very weird.
And had a kid with her, so.
See, that's just, like, really low.
So that kid probably has, like, webbed feet or an extra eye or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They gotta get that kid. They gotta get that kid, like, in Brian's touring band just to fuck.
Yeah, they should. Redemption, you know.
Actually, I'm pretty sure he's fine, Brandon. Like, he's like normal, but like it's just.
Joking.
No, I get it. Yeah, it's just no.
Brandon Wilson is his name.
No, I was just.
He was being like Brandon, comma
yeah,
Brandon.
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought you were saying. Oh.
No, Brandon Spano's his name. I'm actually his son.
Oh, this is the big reveal?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And somehow you ended up in Australia. Okay.
Yeah, it's weird.
You're in hiding.
Yeah.
As far away from Mike as possible.
Oh my goodness.
So you can kind of understand why Mike isn't exactly too hot on Dennis.
Yeah.
Yeah, goodness. Definitely, you're taking a family feud a little too far when you, just to piss off your cousin, you know.
People hate on Mike way too much, because, like, Mike is definitely the person that was the least, you know, narcotics, and I don't want to say the least problems because he was an asshole, but, like, it's kind of justifiable, you know, because everybody else
had the least amount of baggage,
snorting coke constantly, and you know Mike's just over there, you know, doing.
Well, to be fair, the Wilsons were abused by their father.
Didn't do anything, but...
like
I mean,
Mike,
Al smoked
Mike
pot,
didn't have
so.
the same background, you know. Mike did not have this ever have the same baggage as the Wilsons.
Yeah.
Like he had a lot. I'm guessing he had a better childhood than them, you know.
I guarantee.
I do agree with what Brandon's saying too, though, in terms of it. Like Al Jardine seems very easy to deal with, and seems very well
very easy to deal with. Yeah.
Even to this day, I mean, when I saw him with Brian, he just kind of like stands there and kind of just like does whatever anyone else wants him to do, and just
Al
has a
seems
smile
like
on his face and
agreeable. Yeah.
Seems like the kind of guy that like my dad would talk to at a cookout somewhere for like 3 hours.
Al Jardine is like one of those guys that like Al Jardine is like one of those people that I really admire, but he's like one of the few people that I really admire where I feel like if I met him, he would be so nice that I actually wouldn't be nervous around him.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd be scared to death around Brian. Not that Brian's not nice, but if I was going to meet Brian, my heart would be like exploding. You know, but I feel like if I met Al, I would just be like so at ease as soon as he talked to me.
Right.
Al's definitely the most like average Joe of the guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like a normal kind of guy. So.
Yeah.
And he raised his sons right. I really like that about him, that he really was a good father. Like I really appreciate that.
I'm pretty sure he's been with like the same woman for like I don't think he's ever been divorced or.
No, he has actually.
Oh, he has?
Yeah, he has. Yeah, because what happened is he wrote Lady Linda about his first wife, Linda.
Wow.
And then actually she actually co-wrote the song as well. But
Kind of weird.
And then he got divorced like around that time, like maybe like a couple of years later or something. And so he reworked the song and called it Lady Liberty instead. And you know, obviously about the Statue of Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awful.
But he got married when he was 22, and then he got divorced in 82, and he got married a year later to Mary Helmendaler, and they've been married since 1983. So he's from Lima, Ohio, originally. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And he's 77. Looks amazing for a 77-year-old.
Nice.
Also, I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but just considering that everything that Brian Wilson has been through in his life, isn't it kind of like astonishing that he hasn't like lost his hair?
Yeah.
Have you thought about that? I always think about that. I'm just like, how the hell does he still have a full head of hair?
Yeah.
Like it's mind blowing.
Yeah, Carl too. Carl kept his hair as well. They
Right.
good genes.
Good genes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we ready for the next album?
Yeah, keeping the
Would this be the last one, or do we go up to 85?
Let's not say we did.
I'm fine either way.
I don't want to talk about Kokomo.
No. Well, actually, we wouldn't have to talk about Kokomo.
Good.
Still Cruising was a capital release. But Summer in Paradise was released by Brother Records, so we'll have to talk about that.
No.
Well, let's keep Keeping the Summer Alive, since we know that we could all handle that one.
Yeah.
Keeping the Summer Alive from 1980.
The 80s seem to agree with this album. Like,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Nate's going to be bummed that he didn't get to comment on this one. I know he loves
People
this
hate
one.
on this album way too much. This album's fun.
This was better than I thought initially.
It's cheesy, but it's got heart to it.
It does.
Great ending too. Endless Harmony. Solid ending.
This is actually one of the only Beach Boys albums. In fact, it might be the only one that I actually like less now than when I first listened to it. Like I used to think, yeah, you know what, this is underrated. It is, actually quite fun and stuff like that. And it definitely isn't like absolutely like a horrible piece of trash like some people make it out to be. Like it's got a couple good things on it, but it's easily one of the most hit and miss albums in my opinion. Like you've got some great stuff like Going On and the title track and like Some of Your Love, which are like just a ton of fun. And then you got like When Girls Get Together, which is just a slog. And
I kind of like that song.
But
I don't know why. It's catchy.
Good arrangement, but it's just way too slow. And then you've got like Sunshine, which sounds awful. And just Living with a Heartache.
You're being way too hard on this album.
But it's got some trash. Like, come on. And
yeah,
then,
it does.
And then Living with a Heartache, which is just like one of the most bland, forgettable songs they ever made.
What was the single for this?
The first single was Going On, which is like perfect choice.
Yes,
the second single, Because Someone's Dumb, was Living with a Heartache, which is like no.
Yeah, nobody likes Living with a Heartache.
But in the UK, the title track was a single, which it should have been everywhere because that kind of
Yeah.
screamed.
Yeah, there was some questionable decision making around these times.
Also, this is probably the worst sounding Beach Boys album as well. Like the mixing is so bad. Everything just sounds so cheap and flat and has like nothing. It's just, you know.
I like the album cover,
Yeah,
surprisingly.
the album cover's cool. I like the album
Yeah,
cover.
that is a really cool, very cartoonish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually really, really cool. They do have some incredible album covers. I will give them that.
They do. I mean, I feel like the 80s production on this one really isn't as bad as it was on like I don't know, on if we're talking about Summer in Paradise or something, like that's when it gets really bad. Like I feel like since we are talking about the 80s, I mean, like it's hard not for it to be a product of its time, but I think it did well in still preserving itself, you know?
Well, I mean, like Keeping the Summer Alive, I wouldn't even consider it having 80s production because it came out in March 1980. So it was recorded nearly all of it in 1979. So it sounds more like a late 70s album than an 80s album. Like it doesn't have like, it sounds nothing like the real kind of Beach Boys 85, like real 80s sound with like the synthesizers and the drum machines and stuff. It doesn't have any of that. So it just, the production isn't the problem. It's just the mixing just makes it sound really flat, but
yeah. And do you guys have anything else to say about this album?
No.
I have minimal to say about the next couple albums.
Yeah.
Same. I just really just don't like Summer in Paradise at all. Like I can't listen to it.
Summer in Paradise is maybe
Horrendous.
like Summer in Paradise is like Sgt. Pepper's compared to Stars and Stripes for me.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait, what? Say that again.
Sgt. Pepper's is like, Summer in Paradise is like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band compared to Stars and Stripes for me. Like I will listen to that album to death before I ever listen to Stars and Stripes again.
Of course. The one song I really liked from Summer in Paradise was that Slow Summer Dancing.
Yeah.
That song.
Bruce
that's
song.
The one Bruce wrote that, right?
Yeah.
I like Hot
that one,
Fun
like,
in the Summertime. That one's fun.
Yeah, me too.
Although I do agree, the production I think is like the peak cheesiness on this album.
I feel like Mike had way too much influence on this album. That's my opinion. I feel like it's Mike dominated, and that's what makes it's very unbalanced. Like
it does have the worst song of all time on it, though. So, which is "Summer of Love," is the worst thing to ever exist in anything. So,
hang on, we're skipping ahead a bit. We skipped Beach Boys 85.
I hate Summer. Okay,
let's not do that.
I cannot hate on that song enough.
You haven't listened. You haven't tried out Engelbert Humperdinck yet, so don't speak too soon. We'll have to revisit it next time.
I feel like the brother years are. I feel like Summer in Paradise is not even a part of that, right? Or is it?
Well,
it's on the label, but
it was
not really. I mean, it's it was only pressed in Taiwan on vinyl, so do with that info. I'm not kidding. That's the only place it was pressed. So good luck getting your hands on a copy. I'll never complete
I'd love to.
I'd never complete my collection.
But Beach Boys 85. This has a special.
First album recorded after Dennis's death.
Yeah. And this is a really fun album, But
I couldn't get into it. I've tried.
Beach Boys 85.
I love the one with Stevie Wonder.
Stevie
Wonder.
Oh, you guys suck.
I know you feel about Beach Boys 85 like I do about LA. So I
yes, exactly. Yes, it's so fun. How can you not get into it?
I just like the Stevie Wonder track. The Stevie I Do Love You is incredible. Easily my favorite song. Other than that, there's really nothing that sticks out.
I like California.
Calling.
Yeah, California Calling. It's cheese, but it's awesome. So.
What about like Where I Belong though? That's a really nice tune.
And I Can Never Remember. Get You Back. I'm afraid that I'm going to say Going On and Get You Back with those two. I don't know.
Mike sounds so bad on this album. Oh my god. It's just peak nasal. Anyway, I dig it. Like Male Ego which for some reason was only on the CD and not on the vinyl because they're dumb. That is so good. That's an 80s Love You track. That just has that same feel, and it's got the synthesizers and the weird lyrics. It's just, I really dig that. And then I'm So Lonely from Brian, I really like as well. And Crack At Your Love, which is my favorite like post 70s Beach Boys song. That's great. So
I'll check this album out again and get back on this one
too. I'll tell you guys what I think. I will.
Yes, you should.
Yeah.
I'll do it when you all give a try to LA again too. So.
Well, I've listened to LA plenty. So.
Those are probably the two. I need to listen to LA and
I like
the
LA.
self-titled.
I like LA.
Summer in Paradise.
I feel like Carl and the Passions would have been better as the self-titled album. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's instead of Carl. This is completely off topic, but I feel like they would have been better to title that album "The Beach Boys" than Carl and the Passions. If they're going for like a weird self-titled, I mean, Carl and the Passions isn't really self-titled, but if they're going for one of the two, I don't know. I feel like that's a better spot in there.
Well, I mean, I think Beach Boys '85 being self-titled makes sense because
I do too.
It was 5 years between albums, so it's like reintroducing them again, kind of.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I'm just saying if you're going for like some weird out there, I mean, not weird, but it's like if you're going for, I don't know how to explain it. I'm over it.
No, I get it. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So
are we pretty much done now?
No, because you guys are all so mean to Summer in Paradise, I'm gonna have to say some nice things about it.
I love Hot Fun in the Summertime.
Because it is so damn fun. Like it is such
Except
a fun
for Summer of Love, sure.
Summer of Love is fun.
And Surfin' and Forever, which is maybe the second worst song of all time.
Forever and Surfin' should have been taken off the album, but Summer of Love is just, it's just guilty pleasure cheesy goodness. I love it. It's catchy as hell. It's just, so good. Hot Fun is great. The cover of Remember Walking in the Sand is great. Like, it's so fun.
Wasn't that originally done by the Shangri-Las?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, they're really great. Yeah.
But Island Fever, it's just so good.
To me, it should not be that the worst cover done by the Beach Boys is of their own music.
Well, they shouldn't even be covering their own music.
Yeah, exactly. But it makes me angry. Like, if you have a bad cover, whatever, but bad cover is your own music and the original two songs are awesome, like, should not be a thing that happens.
Yeah, that's like, there used to be this band, this cover band. Not a cover band, this original band that I saw play in my area, and the singer would forget the lyrics to his own songs. He would have to have lyric sheets up on the stage. It's like kind of a similar thing. It's just a bad look, covering your own songs, making it sound bad, or writing your own lyrics and not remembering them. It just doesn't look good. Bad optics. Is that all of them? Did we cover all of them?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That is the brother years. All right, that was a fun episode. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah,
that was very informative. Cool to kind of dissect those years a little bit more and get a better idea of everything that was going on behind the scenes, and familiarizing ourselves with all of the drama within the band and all the tragedy and terrible stuff that happened too. But yeah, I always enjoy these conversations. I appreciate you guys doing this, and I look forward to the next one.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
76ers lost. Yay. Dead inside.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, good night. I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Yeah.